What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's been a long time. I'm gonna leave in the description the reason why I haven't been active on the channel, why I haven't made videos. But yeah, I don't want to bother with you guys like most of you just wanted tutorials, so we'll get right into it. But yeah, I'm sorry for being away for so long. Yeah, I'm gonna try and be more consistent, and I'm going to try to get back to making videos. I don't know for how long, but I'll let you guys know. You also can join my Discord. It's gonna be in the description as well if you want to get like more updates. So yeah, this series that I'm going to be starting is going to be about open world AI factions. This is going to be something that I need for one of my personal projects, and yeah, so I decided to. I'm gonna basically kill two birds with one stone. So I'm gonna work on it over here with tutorials from a clean project, but then I'll do it in a way that I can use on my own project. But then you guys can also learn. So a little bit of background for this. Um, The project that I'm working on is an open world survival game, and I basically want NPC factions on the world, but it's also a co-op game, so it has to be ready for multiplayer, and with all the things that are going to come depending on that. So in terms of performance, network usage, and if you want factions on a huge world, you're going to have to be able to find a way to have hundreds of NPCs on the world, but obviously they cannot all be active at the same time. Otherwise, there's going to be huge performance problems. So yeah, we're going to look at all of that. I'm going to be doing blueprints, and yeah, that's it. So this is a first-person project, and I'm just going to call it Open World AI Factions. It's going to be the first-person template. And yeah, I'll probably add in the third person template as well, so we can do like the AIs with the mannequin and animations. But yeah, that's gonna be it. So we're going to start today by creating just a simple world, a simple landscape that we can use as like a platform. And then we're going to create just a simple AI class that right now is not going to do anything. And we're going to create a simple line trace weapon. So I'm just going to be able to shoot line traces at the enemy so I can kill them. So that's going to be useful. So later on, we can also like work on the respawn aspect of the AI manager. So let's do that really quick. So I'm going to go into maps. I'm going to create a new level. I'm just going to call this open world. Yeah, it's going to be very simple. Let's start by some lights over here. Let's add a sky sphere, a skylight, and a directional light, and I also want the post-process volume. Uh, I'm going to set it to unbound. And the reason that I want a post-process volume is just so I can basically put the exposure at the default 1, so like the lights don't shine too much or get too dark. And then let's click on our BP sky sphere over here on the outline, or you can click on the sky. Yeah, and let's select the directional light actor to the directional light we just dragged in, so everything gets updated. Let's make sure everything is movable, as well as the skylight. That should be perfectly fine. Now let's go into the modes, landscape, and I'm going to create a landscape. So the point of this is we have like a very huge roll over here. So I'm going to make it really big, probably too much. So if your computer is not that good, you probably don't want to create like a super huge roll. Uh, you know, we're just going to be testing, so there's no need for it. I just want to really see if any problems come up with, huge distances, like that has to do like with rendering and like CPU and stuff like that, like while calculating the AIs at long distances. That's why I'm doing this, but you don't have to on your end. You can just, if there's any problem, I'll see it and then we'll fix it. So I'm just going to go to the maximum size and 2x2 sections. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it. I think that's big enough. Uh, it's probably going to be a little bit too big anyway. So you can see like the scale. If I click play, I'm falling from the sky. You can see the world is very big. But that's what we want. So that's correct. Let's go back into the select mode. And now let's just create like the single AI component, I guess, like the singular AI class. So I'm going to add the content pack of the third person. So we get the mannequin. And yeah, with that, I'm going to go into the third person character and I'm going to rename that to master AI. So this is going to be the base class for our individual AIs. And I'm also going to create a new folder called blueprints. So we're going to have like the main blueprints are all going to be over there. So I'm just going to drag the master AI into there. I'm also going to go into the first person BP and I'm going to rename it to player character. So this is going to be our player's character. Let's put that over there. And let's go into the world settings. If you have this open, you can go into window and click on world settings over here. And I just want to make sure I have the first person game mode assigned over here. So we get the player character as the default pawn class. So now let's set up our little window over here. So I want to be playing as client. I'm actually using listen server on my personal project, but it kind of works the same way. So I'm just going to leave play as client so it's less confusing for the tutorial. And I'm just going to have two players and I'm going to use new other windows so they kind of open like this. And right now there's no player start, so we're falling, but you can see we already have the base replication over here. So that's perfectly fine. And I just want to add another thing, which is a player start. And I kind of want this on the middle of the world, I guess. There you go. So if I click play, I'm falling through the ground. That's probably because, yeah, this is below the ground. There you go. That will fix it. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So that's it. That's the base stuff that I want. Now let's open up the player character. And this is just the first person BP. So first of all, I don't want anything that has to do with VR. I'm not going to touch that. We can also delete this little sphere. So I'm just going to leave the ends and the weapon so we can see that. And let's just go into the construction script. Actually, we can leave that. Never mind that. But we will need to delete the stuff. This HMD motion, I'm going to get rid of that as well. And the VR stuff. If you guys want to use a controller for your game, you can leave the stick input. That's not going to change the logic of what we're going to do, but I'm just going to use keyboard and mouse. So this stuff for the stick input, I'm going to delete that. And I'm just going to delete the code related to this. So I'm just going to delete this parts. There you go. Oh yeah, and over here for the spawn projectile, I also don't want to do that. I'm going to leave the play montage so we can see when we shoot. But I am going to delete the rest of the stuff because I do not want to spawn any projectiles. And I do not want that annoying noise as well. So yeah, after all, we're going to do... what is that? Sorry, there you go. Just want to clean that up. So we're going to do our line trace for the weapon over after the spawn projectile. So let's start doing stuff accordingly. I guess we can disconnect this because I'm going to create a function or an event called client underscore fire trace, and it's going to be, so it's just going to be client side. We're going to play the animation or the montage. So when we press the fire button, so let's call that over here. And so you guys know, I'm always going to check this reliable tick. I always do this when I first code. What this reliable thing does, it's basically, it makes sure that if there's too much bandwidth usage, whatever events are like ticked on reliable, they're always going to go through. So they'll always execute 100% certain. So once the game kind of, is more complex with a lot of stuff going on, if you don't have events ticked on reliable, they might not execute. So it's very important that in the important logic, you always want to do this. I personally always have this ticked, because the way that I code, I always like optimize it in the end. So if I see that it's like causing too much bandwidth, having everything ticked, I find functions in the end that are kind of less reliable, as the word means. For example, like visual effects and stuff like that, and I might disable them. But almost 100% of the time, it doesn't matter. So it doesn't really do anything in the end, having this reliable. So in terms of bandwidth, because Unreal Engine has like a very low bandwidth usage by default, like a bandwidth limit, we always go into the the code of the project, like the initiation files of the engine, and we can set there like using console variables to set the limit to a higher value, because it's very low, the default number of bandwidth like packages that we can send on the game. So we want to increase that later. I'll probably show you how to do that in a later video, but that will probably fix all the issues. So just wanted to explain why I'm going to be always click on the reliable button over here, because I remember in a previous series I click on that but I didn't explain it, so people asked about it, so that's why. Okay, so let's do a line trace over here. I'm gonna use a simple line trace by channel, and it's going to be very simple. The math over here, we're just going to get our camera, we're going to get the world location of our camera, so the trace is going to start there. The end, we want to get the forward vector of our camera. Then we want to multiply this by the length, like the range of our weapon. So how far can the trace reach? I'm just going to use a very big number, like this is, I think, 1,000 meters, so a kilometer, if I'm counting the zeros right. But yeah, just set that to a very big range, so we have no problems with that. And let's add these two vectors together like this, and that's going to be our end trace pin. And I'm just going to set the draw debug type for duration, so I can actually see where I'm shooting. And I'm going to leave the trace channel by visibility, which is good enough. So let's just test that out. So you can see that I'm shooting into the ground, and you can see that we are hitting the ground. And I think so like the crosshairs that you see on the screen is not actually lined up to the middle of the camera. So that's why it's not hitting correctly, but it doesn't matter for this tutorial, so that's fine. So yeah, that's it. We also have our master AI over here. So I'm just gonna clean that up for the next video, so we can delete everything inside. This is all like player inputs, which the AIs don't use. So I want to delete that. And we can delete the camera and the spring arm over here, because we don't need that as well. And this is basically going to be our AI. I'm just going to give it, I guess we don't need to give it colors. Later on, when we are doing the different factions code, I will set up a parameter, for example, so we can have a different color on the character. So we can actually differentiate between the two. That's going to be later on, so we don't need to worry about that now. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for this video. It's just a short video where I just wanted to explain what we're going to do. I should probably explain it a little bit more. So in the next videos, we're going to be creating an AI manager that's going to basically decide where we spawn characters. So that's what's going to define whatever factions are going to be in the world, like how many AIs it's going to spawn, etc. Then I'll show you how you can add like details in, so the type of weapon that they can equip and stuff like that. We're actually not going to implement different weapons, but I'll set up to show you how you can do that. And then later on, we're going to work on a way for the long range AIs on the open world, so they can navigate and basically fight between each other. But if the players are really far away, in an efficient way. So they are not actually like as the characters are like rendered right now. When they actually shoot, it's going to be like a mathematic based fighting, like in the background, where no players or like pawns and characters are actually spawned in. They just fight between each other, and that's how they're going to move around more efficiently. And then once the players get into a certain range of distance, they will spawn and then continue. That's basically the base the performance optimization for the open world. So this way you can have the characters actually exist mathematically within the world. They don't actually exist as a full character class. And then as the players reach those positions of where they're supposed to be, they will render in into the world, so they'll spawn as a character, and then you can interact with them like while fighting or talking to them or whatever it is you want to apply this to your game. And yeah, that's basically the base of what we're going to look how to do. Hopefully these won't be too many videos. I don't want like the super big series that we had before, because most of the time we didn't end up finishing them because for a reason or another I had to move on. So I don't want to have too many videos. I want to keep this short. So, but I also want to explain everything so you can apply this to your own game. So as I said before, I'm doing this for my personal project, and yeah, I want to do this correctly. So when I bring the code to my own project, I want everything to work correctly. So yeah, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you can leave, um, I guess, recommendations or whatever it is you want me to do next after this series. Or if you have any problems or questions, you can leave them in the comments. And be sure to join the Discord as well. If you want to talk to me or other people in the community, there's like a couple of dozen people there, so you can talk to them if you have any problems as well. And I'll be responding as well. So yeah, thank you so much, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.